There's nothing more horrifying in those scary movies when there's a mannequin or a doll that just snaps their head like... It's so creepy when they have those quick twitchy movements. That's the only thing I can think of when I think of this SCP. It's SCP-847, the mannequin. We're going to react to it today from SCP Explained. Make sure to head on over to their channel and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, guys, and if you like reaction videos, make sure to subscribe to my channel as well. Let's get into this reaction.
It all started in 1983.
Okay.
With reports of human trafficking in the heart of Sin City.
That's scary,
the FBI
man.
had gotten word of a potential trafficking ring operating out of an abandoned department store in Las Vegas, Nevada. And immediately began organizing a secret raid on the building.
Okay, good.
While they would indeed encounter something horrifying within that abandoned department store. It wasn't criminals or human trafficking.
Right.
In fact, it wasn't human at all. This is the horrifying story of SCP-847. After weeks of planning, the raid on the department store was conducted in the dead of night.
All right.
Agents covered all the exits and entrances, and a helicopter was stationed nearby in case anyone attempted to run. It should have been a perfect trap.
Right.
But things never go as planned when you don't know what you're dealing
Exactly,
with.
especially when it's an
breached the
anomalous.
door and began searching the darkened building. It didn't appear that there was any power, so the traffickers must have had great night vision and a high tolerance for creepy locales. Agents soon heard a faint humming sound coming from below, a generator. It must be located in the basement and be the hub of this criminal
That's how they had
enterprise.
power, okay?
Readying themselves for whatever they were about to find, the agents descended into the basement. As they moved deeper into the building, they found that lighting rigs had been set up. They must be getting closer to something, but that something was still a mystery. A senior FBI special agent was leading the charge, his pistol drawn and ready. It was quiet. Too quiet.
Too quiet.
Did the traffickers already realize they were coming and clear out? He was ready to consider this bust a bust when he heard a quiet mewling in the distance. A persistent whining whimper that was undeniably human. He gave the signal to his fellow agents to follow
somebody
the
that
noise.
was trapped
They
or
proceeded
gagged?
forward towards the pain sounds and found themselves in a wide, well-lit room filled with department store mannequins. All were broken to some degree.
Right.
Some were totally smashed to pieces.
That's creepy,
Some
man.
were chained to walls and locked in cages. Others were wrapped in plastic. The agent wondered whether this was some kind of twisted joke or a messed up avant-garde art piece. That's when he noticed her. A single crouched figure in the distance, hunched over and whimpering in a darkened corner of the room near a full-length mirror.
Did she turn people into mannequins?
But he got the sense that something was wrong.
Human
She
trafficking?
was injured, bent over. Was she even missing an arm? Just what have these monsters done to this woman? He whispered a request for backup into his radio.
She thought she was a
and
victim.
pushed on.
It's
When
not.
he got within
It's
50
an anomaly.
meters of this strange woman, her demeanor changed entirely. She jerked around, her movements forced, erratic, and painful looking. The woman stared directly into the agent's eyes and began hobbling towards him, occasionally stopping to strike a pose as if modeling during a photo shoot.
That's so
Just
creepy,
then,
dude.
the agent made a horrifying realization. This thing moving towards them wasn't a woman at all.
It was a mannequin.
It was a living
Oh
mannequin.
my
As
gosh,
she got closer,
dude.
though, he realized that the mannequin's broken left forearm had been carved into a large shape.
Oh,
A
no!
female junior FBI agent had been one of the many to pour into the room when the raid leader had radioed for backup. The second she entered the 50-meter range of this strange mannequin, everything changed.
What the
In
heck?
an instant, its eyes and mouth began dripping with a thick, viscous resin.
Ugh.
Its whimpering gasps suddenly became vicious, ear-splitting screeches.
Oh my
and it
God.
turned its gaze from the senior FBI agent. It was now focused on the junior agent, who had just entered the room and broke into a terrifying run straight towards her. The mannequin moved with a violent, single-minded purpose. Other agents began firing, but it was running freakishly fast and easily dodged most of the bullets.
Whoa,
The
she's
few
dodging
that actually
bullets?
hit seemed to do nothing to slow the creature down.
And it's not really hurting it if
shrugged
they
off
do
the
hit it.
damage and kept running.
Oh,
With a
dang
great
it.
leap, it landed on the terrified junior agent and began jabbing her with its bladed arm.
God,
The other agents stopped
dang.
firing, fearing they might accidentally hit their colleague during the panic.
What?
The
She's
mannequin
getting
was
stabbed to death
ruthless,
by a
clawing
mannequin.
and stabbing with the strange resin leaking out of its every orifice.
Oh my
Terrified
God.
and unable to reach her gun, the agent remembered her training.
You
He reached
tased it?
into her belt and grabbed her stun gun, jamming the two probes up against the creature's chest and giving it 30,000 volts.
Did it do
The creature
anything?
spasmed, fell backwards, and collapsed in a heap on the ground.
It worked.
Frozen. This was the first recorded encounter with SCP-847,
That's got to be horrifying.
a violent living mannequin with a serious problem with women.
Oh,
this
my
terrifying
God.
report was passed up the
So
chain
she's,
of
like,
command
jealous.
until it landed
She was
on the desk of
flirting
a
with the
Foundation
guy,
agent working
but
in the
mad
FBI.
at the chick.
The Foundation quickly swooped
was
in and
striking
claimed the
poses, like
mannequin,
modeling?
delivered necessary amnestic treatment to all who'd witnessed it, and closely observed the female junior FBI agent's recovery in a
FBI
private
agents,
hospital
man.
with Foundation ties.
Oh my
As it
gosh.
turns out, they were right to do so, as the junior agent was in for a gruesome fate. While the wound she'd suffered
What
at the hands of
happened with the resin?
SCP-847 didn't appear fatal, the fact that the mannequin's anomalous resin excretions entered the open wound
Turned her into a
changed
mannequin.
everything. Several hours after being committed, the junior agent began complaining of limb stiffness and difficulty moving.
She was
This
turning.
quickly developed into full
Oh my
paralysis.
God.
Over time, her skin and internal organs began to harden, until the process dubbed plastination came to a gruesome end.
Plastination?
The junior agent wasn't just dead.
Poor
She had
thing.
been transformed into a mannequin.
Oh my
Foundation
God, that's
researchers
such a
were met
horrible
with a truly
fate.
horrifying realization.
Good.
This means
Oh,
that all the
man.
other broken mannequins
So
found
glad
with
I'm a guy right now, y'all.
SCP-847 were likely once living
So glad I'm a
humans,
dude.
attacked and transformed by the anomaly.
That's where all
now
the,
a
the
source
mannequins
from
were.
new harvested body parts. Now safely
Harvested.
interred at a Foundation containment
That's how she
facility,
fixes herself
though. The
up.
real tests on
She's like Mrs.
SCP-847
Potato
to
Head.
determine its behavior and physical attributes could begin. The most important detail about SCP-847 is that its aggression is exclusively directed towards women, as opposed
yeah.
to when it encounters men, and its instincts are more self-destructive.
Right.
Through a
Oh,
series of tests and
self-destructive.
observations, researchers have been able to pin down 3 different distinct patterns of behavior
Okay.
for SCP-847. Pattern Z behaviors occur when there are no
Pattern
humans
Z.
standing within 50 meters of SCP-847.
Okay,
The
so
mannequin will
nobody
seek out a
around it.
full-length mirror and pose in front of it, much like a department store mannequin attempting to show off its clothes.
Yeah.
It remains largely inanimate during these periods, and will very occasionally use a finger, or whatever appendage is available, given its habit for self-mutilation, to scratch messages on nearby surfaces.
Self-mutilation?
Pattern Y behavior
Oh my
occurs when
gosh.
male humans with XY chromosomes enter a 50-meter radius around SCP-847.
So it's a
Just like its
chromosome
reaction
thing
to
that
the
it
male FBI
react to, like
agents who found it,
biological.
847 will initially emit vocalizations that seem like whimpering gasps, before making eye contact and striking provocative poses while approaching the
Provocative?
subject. It will then remain static
I mean,
and
some
allow the
guys
male
into
subject
dolls,
to
man,
pose
you never
its
know.
body. However, after the male subject
Gotta
leaves
fix
the
your
area,
face though, girl.
847 will enter a state of considerable distress
That's when she
and
gets
begin
mad.
removing or shattering parts of its body.
Oh
The
my
Foundation
God.
has found that the parts removed or shattered are often consistent with parts that the male subjects found displeasing during interactions, showing a masochistic desire to impress. These parts are then harvested back from
I don't think
plastinated
I don't think he
victims,
likes my
which
arm,
brings
girl.
us
I'm just
to the
taking
most
off real
dangerous
quick.
of its behavior patterns. Pattern X
I don't know,
behaviors
would you put
occur
your
when
arms?
female humans enter a 50-meter radius around the creature.
Women do care
847
about
will
some crazy
immediately
stuff
become
sometimes.
brutally
We do too,
aggressive,
though.
switching its noises
joking.
from whimpers to violent screeches
Right.
and growls.
She gets
847
mad.
experiences enhanced physical
That's scary,
capabilities
man,
during
with
Pattern
those,
X states. Its speed has been measured
that
at
sound that it
45
makes.
kilometers per hour,
What?
making it as fast as
That's
the
why I can
legendary
dodge bullets.
SCP-096.
Oh my
It's also been
God.
shown to exhibit
96
extreme
is
physical
fast,
strength.
too.
It's
Look.
during this pattern of behavior
Twirling
that it
that dumbbell
begins
like a
excreting its
majorette.
deadly resin, which has been proven to only be dangerous to women.
So it
In
only-
these states,
Oh, it's not
the
even
only thing
dangerous to men.
capable of reliably pacifying the being is a powerful electric shock. The
Well,
shock
we know
causes
that
the
from the
creature's
taser.
resin to harden, temporarily incapacitating it for roughly
Oh, the
5
resin
minutes.
hardens.
Other conventional weapons and damage has no
45
meaningful
minutes.
effect on SCP-847.
I wonder if it
After
can
a
be
number of
melted
incidents
down.
that had sad and violent endings,
'Cause
the
it's
Foundation
plaster, right?
Ethics Committee forbade the use of female D-Class personnel in SCP-847 testing. When it came to female subjects, 847 always slipped into a state of extreme aggression.
Yeah.
So instead, the Foundation began testing with male subjects in hopes of better understanding the dynamics between human males and SCP-847. Various
God dang it,
misogynistic D-Class males were introduced into the containment chamber,
Right.
which was modeled to look like a bedroom for the purposes of behavioral study. Each one Either during or after their interaction with SCP-847 was told to comment on some aspect they felt dissatisfied with. The mannequin shattered its own chest after hearing it described as being out of proportion. After another D-class called its nose ugly, the mannequin broke it off. After another said that its hair was out of fashion and commented on its inability to drink, it tore out its hair and liver. All parts were replaced after the experiments. Things took their most violent and upsetting turn yet with the introduction of D-7294. A lot of the time, D-Class personnel are considered to be as anonymous as they are expendable. But D-7294 is an exception. Before becoming D-Class, he was a successful cello teacher who brutally murdered one of his teenage students and her mother. He's typically employed in tests when the Foundation wishes to see interactions between anomalies and humans with confirmed psychopathic personalities. During his interaction with SCP-847, he belittled and humiliated the mannequin. He forced it into uncomfortable poses, and even snapped off one of its fingers before being dragged from the room by Foundation guards. In the following debrief, he further berated the mannequin as useless and lousy at its job of being controlled by him. In response, 847 extracted its own brains, eyes, and clavicle before shattering its own hands in dismay. So why does 847 behave this way? While it may appear monstrous, it seems that the reason SCP-847 does what it does is all too human. It hurts women because it itself is hurting, and it's willing to hurt itself even more for the approval of the objects of its desire. As a result, it's an anomaly trapped in an endless cycle of pain and violence. Perhaps one day, it'll be able to free itself from the loop, but that day is unlikely to come for this murderous mannequin anytime soon.
Talk about a cool SCP, man. This thing's resin. So glad I'm not a chick right now. Thing is murderous, man. Guys, SCP Explained. Make sure to subscribe to him as well as a couple other videos that are reacting to him from here. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off. We'll see you next time.